into the room and we think that's networking. It's not what it's about. It's about making people remember you when you're not there. As I tell people at networking events all the time, I do absolutely nothing at Engage Web.
Welcome, friends of the Engaging Marketeer podcast. This is not Darren's voice unless he's been hit in the head or the throat with a branding stick. I'm your host today, guest host, Peter Murphy-Lewis. You probably don't know me yet unless you recently listened to the interview that Darren did with me on July 18th, 2025. It was entitled Using SEO to Compete Against the Big Boys. Give it a listen because it talks about everything that I did wrong and that I should have hired Darren beforehand. It was a blast, but now he's letting me do what no comedian should ever let you do. Takeover show. It's a bold move, but he's a bold man, and I'm going to do my best to make it worthwhile. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm a fractional CMO documentarian, but that's enough about me. Let's get into the person here. He's the host of the podcast. He's the genius behind BNI Education Slots, founder of Engage Web, author of Engage and Grow. He's a TEDx speaker, and we're going to talk about all of that. But I think what's really interesting, he's legitimately, Darren, you can correct me afterwards, award-winning comedian, and I'm thrilled to flip the mic around and introduce Darren Jameson, everybody.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know whether you describe me as a bold person or a bold person, but either would be sufficient. Thank you.
Well, let's start off by saying thanks for being on your own show. But let's start off by asking, people know your voice, but they might not know all of the backstory behind Darren Jameson. What do you do at Engage Web, and what are you most proud of professionally so far?
Professionally so far? Well, what do I do at Engage Web? As I tell people at networking events all the time, I do absolutely nothing at Engage Web. When I started, it was just me and Leanne. We did all of the content. I did all of the websites. I did all of the technical stuff. I did all of the sales with Leanne, and it was horrible, like starting a business for the first time. Terrible. I don't recommend it to anyone. I'm joking, of course. Everybody should start a business. But now I do naff all. My job consists of things like this, talking to you on my show, which is weird, going out to events, talking to people, speaking on a stage and talking to people, and just basically talking and drinking wine and drinking beer and drinking coffee, not necessarily in that order. And then my team handles everything else. That is what they do. They are the business. I'm just the gob at the front that brings people in. That's literally all I do. And in terms of what am I most proud of, I mention it every single time that I talk to someone. I mention it at every event. I mention it whenever somebody coughs and they pause. I chip in. And you've already mentioned it today, so that would be my TEDx talk. It's absolutely my proudest moment because it was so frightening to do. It was so exhilarating to do, and I loved every second of it, and it went off word perfect without any notes or any prompts whatsoever. 18 minutes of absolute perfection, in my eyes, anyway. So everyone, check the TEDx, check YouTube channel out and have a listen to that.
Yeah, the link will be in the show notes, I'm sure. Your team does a great job of that. Then, in terms of keynote speaking or talks or workshops, what's been the hardest topic for you to prepare?
Whoa, Jim! In terms of keynote speaking and workshops, hardest one to prepare there's a few. I think social media is hard to prepare because it's constantly changing as you're doing it. And if you're giving somebody a walkthrough or a talk on how to do something on social media, thanks to the wisdom and beauty of the way things like Facebook works, everyone's looking at something slightly different and has buttons in different places. So it's very hard to do something for people on social media when you have a larger audience and everybody's seeing something different. SEO is extremely difficult to talk about because it changes the very next day. It changes several times throughout the day. So that's a pain. But the one I found really interesting lately was AI. Because there's so many people talking about AI within digital marketing, how you can use AI to create your content, how you can use AI to create your PowerPoint slides, how you can use AI to build your websites. I thought, how can I compete with all of this when there's so many people doing it? So I flipped it round, and how can you be the person that AI cites? How can you be the person that AI references within its questions when it's talking to other people? So that was the one I think lately I found really difficult to prepare for. So I just flipped it and did the exact opposite of what everybody else was expecting.
I have a follow-up question around things changing like AI and SEO, but just I'm warning you, I'm going to go back to the TEDx talk and some keynotes.
I'd be annoyed if you didn't, but
I
yeah,
just want the audience to know that either while I am scatterbrained, this is intentional. So everything's changing, but I found something interesting. It seems like your company has offered a pay monthly website package, and this hasn't changed. Explain to me what that means and what hasn't changed.
Yeah, well, strangely enough, it's sort of an American thing, because in the UK we don't lease stuff. We don't lease cars. There is car leasing, but it's not a big thing. We like to own stuff. We buy things, whereas in America you lease a lot. It's commonplace that you lease stuff, and whenever we spoke to a client about a website, it was very often we get the question that, do you have an option for us to spread the payment? Do you have something where we can pay monthly? And we never did, because it's just not a thing in the UK. Until we realized that so many people are asking for this and no one else is doing it. It's kind of a USP. So we brought in this pay monthly website package where rather than pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 or pounds for a website, you pay a small fee each month and we do everything for you. Design, hosting, content, write everything for you, do all of the updates for you. And all you pay is this monthly fee. And we brought it in 2018 for £99 a month. And we've never changed the price. It's still £99 a month now in 2025. So 7 years later, we've bugger inflation, sod it. It doesn't matter for us. We don't care. It's still £99 a month. But the big thing that's happened for clients, the big thing that I often, I'm sorry, posh. The big thing that I often find when I'm speaking to people is that they can't get hold of their web designer. They want a website update change. They want something done on the website. They contact the designer. They're not interested. They just want to move on to the next client. And that's the problem in my industry. It's we build a website for someone, we get paid, we move on to the next client. We build a website for them, we get paid, we move on to the next client. Clients don't get the aftercare with it because web designers are not interested in doing those little changes. So we just built our business around it. We do the changes for the clients. We do it within the price. It's all there included. And we've got a guy in the business. His name's James. He's a Manchester United fan, but don't hold that against him. His sole job is to update clients' websites. So whenever a client comes to us and says, right, we want this add in, we want this changing, he does it. He doesn't build websites. He doesn't design websites. He just updates clients' websites. He is the support guy at Engage Web. And he looks after the hundreds of clients that we've got that are on this package. And it makes us different from other web designers, because I've never known another website company that does this and certainly does it to the scale that we do it.
Love it. And I feel like we're going to have to come back and revisit this topic in a podcast around the business model, because not changing your prices in over 7 years is absolutely insane.
It is a bit crazy.
Labor and even with tools out there, it's impressive. But I want to go back to your TEDx. What is the one line or question that you think that you delivered best, so that anyone listening goes over and watches this?
Oh, the line of question. The whole TEDx talk was about cyberbullying. And it was about how my son was the victim of cyberbullying and somebody created a fake Facebook profile. And I traced the identity of who did it in under an hour. That's the bit that I stressed, I got across. That's the key takeaway from it, that anyone can do this. But the thing I want people to take away from it, whether you are a parent of a child or whether you are a child that's been bullied, or more importantly, if you are a bully yourself, and I encourage bullies to listen to this, is that even though the internet seems to be anonymous, it seems to be somewhere you can hide behind a screen, you can hide behind the anonymity of a fake profile. You can't. People like me will find out who you are. Social media companies know who you are. Google know who you are. They know everything about you. So no matter what you do to try and hide your identity, no matter what you do to try and throw people off the scent, it is possible to trace you. So you should never put something online that, as a guy that used to work with us and actually helped with this whole process for this TEDx talk, used to say, never say anything on the internet that you wouldn't be prepared to have read back to you in a court of law, because it could happen.
Good advice.
Hmm.
I want to talk about relationships and go into your BNI education spots.
Yes.
It seems to be rooted that you should offer a favor, or that's going to be more powerful than pitching yourself. If that's the premise, when did you stop asking, and when was the moment in your life that you were going to start giving?
Ooh. Do you know when I first started in Engage Web with my business partner, we used to go to networking groups. And like most people, when they start in business or they go to networking meetings for the first time, you think how networking happens is you turn up to these events, you hand out 50 business cards, and there's going to be 4 or 5 people there. They're going to go, "Oh, you do websites. We need one of those." And they're going to hire you on the spot because that's exactly what they needed. And then the accountants are going to be handing out their business cards, and you're going to go, "Oh, I need an accountant." We think we're selling to the room, and we think that's networking. It's not what it's about. It's about making people remember you when you're not there, making people want to have a follow-up conversation with you. And the best way to do that is to listen to what they've got to say and help them. And it took me a few years to realize that. When I first joined BNI, I was a member for 10 or 11 months before I got my first referral. And that referral didn't pay for the meeting fees for the year, never mind my time in going. It was about £800, and the meeting and the fees cost about 1,200 at the time, never mind the time. So it took a couple of years in business for me to realize that it's about relationships and it's about helping people and giving to other people. That's what makes them want to give back to you. BNI's got this philosophy. It's one of their core values. They call it givers gain. If you give business to someone, they're going to want to give business back to you. And if they can't give it to you, they'll give it to someone else, and someone else will give it to you. You need to be seen as somebody that wants to help others for people to want to help you. So whether you really want to help people, whether you're really the kind of philanthropic person that goes around helping people or not, if you can fake that, you can fake anything and people will want to help you. I'm not suggesting that you fake that, of course. But it took me a few years to realize it. And I think there's a lot of people in business that never come to that realization, never get it. They just go around selling, and you'll see them at events. They'll thrust business cards in your hand and they'll try and sell to you. And if they realize they can't sell to you, they'll move on to the next person. Kind of like seeing, I don't want to cast aspersions to industries like car salesmen or encyclopedia salesmen you might get door-to-door knocking. It's that kind of approach. But we need to switch that around. We need to be more giving in order to receive, if that makes sense.
It does. I like how it resonates with me as a father. I have an 8-year-old, and I think it was about a year ago. He asked me something along the lines of, "Dad, is it, is it hard to own your own business? Is it hard to get a job?" And then, 3 months later, he had, "Dad, is it hard to find a wife or get a wife?" I don't remember his verb choice there. And I think I've said something over and over to him in the last 2 or 3 years, which is, if you are the most helpful person in the room, if you always listen when somebody's speaking, and you are always kind, you will always have a job, you'll always have friends, you'll always be needed, and you'll have a line of wives or husbands or whomever he decides to marry at some point in his life. And I think, like that, what you said about BNI will help any grade schooler. You don't need to be great on TikTok. Go be the most helpful person in the room.
That is a great saying. Be the most helpful person in the room. I love that. And I like the idea of a whole line of wives as well. That's a good.
I don't think I could handle it. I can't imagine 2 of my wives. She's special, but 2 would actually be worse. Hey, Dan, you have a unique combo. You're an expert marketer. You're an award-winning comedian. You're kind of like Gary Vee crossed with a famous comedian, whoever you want to put there, Chappelle or whomever. But so Tell us, how can someone use their authentic personality, even the weird stuff, which I feel like you excel at, as a brand advantage without losing their professionalism?
Ooh, well, it depends what your authentic personality is. I mean, your authentic personality could be that of a serial killer or a hermit or somebody that just wants to hoard boxes in their room and never go out. In that case, it might be difficult. But it is important to be yourself because, as the saying goes, be yourself, everybody else is taken. And if you try to fake a personality, you try to be somebody that you're not. If you try to be a really happy, cheerful person when you're a bit of a miserable bugger, or if you try to be really serious when you're not, essentially whatever it is that you're not being, you'll end up attracting the wrong kind of client. You need to attract clients that are going to work well with you, that are going to gel with you. So if, like me, you're a bit of a show-off, you're a bit of an egotist, and you like to perform in front of people, and you like to be funny in front of people, or I think I am anyway, and they gave me an award, so I must be, then do that and be yourself, because the kind of people that are going to want to work with you are the kind of people that you're going to like to work with. Whereas if I were to try and be really serious and dour and talk about business and finance and that kind of thing, I'd end up working with really boring people and I wouldn't be happy doing it. So be yourself and you'll work with the people that like you for who you are and want to work with you. If you try and be someone else, you'll end up working with people you're not going to be happy working with. I think that's probably the best advice I could give.
How your work in comedy, doing stand-up a few times, has it impacted the way that you do business or your marketing? Like, do you test jokes now in your marketing that you might not have beforehand because you've done some, you've riffed it a little bit?
Do you know, I don't think I test any jokes more now than I would have done anyway. I do that a lot, and I've literally just created a couple of AI video comedy ads using Google's VO3, Google Flow VO3, which is phenomenal stuff. The stuff you can create with that is amazing. Everyone should give that a go. Because if you've got creative ideas and you don't think, how the hell could I do that? Google Flow VO3 will let you create any sort of video you could possibly do. But I think the best thing that I learned from the comedy is that comedy and sales are very, very similar. So with the comedy, I had training from a professional stand-up comedian. And comedy is all about listening to the reaction from the audience, listening to what people think of you as you speak. So you can adjust the joke or the timing on the fly. And that's exactly the same as sales. Sales isn't about talking to people and rolling off this spiel about this is what I want to tell you about my product or my service, and this is how I want to sell it to you. It's about listening to what that person's needs are and then giving them what their needs are, or giving them what you have to fill their needs. Comedy is exactly the same. It's a lot about listening and reacting on the fly and less about just flying off and giving them what you think they want. So that's probably the biggest thing I could take from it, that anyone that's in sales, anyone that's in business, and everyone in business should be in sales, that have a go at comedy, because even if you think you're not a funny person, it teaches you to be a better seller and a better business person by its very nature.
Let's talk about Engage and Grow. This is your book, Darren, and it is 97-point plan to become an authority in your industry. I want to talk about busting a myth. What do most people do wrong or get wrong about becoming an authority?
That is a very good question. What do most people get wrong? Most people will look at a competitor of theirs or an existing authority within their industry and think, how can I emulate that? How can I do what they're doing? So you mentioned Gary Vee before, for example. I could look at Gary Vee and think, what's Gary Vee doing? How can I do exactly what he is doing? And you can't be Gary Vee. Only Gary Vee can be Gary Vee. You need to be yourself. As you mentioned earlier, it's like being your authentic self. So if you want to become an authority in your industry, you need to become your authority within your industry, not someone else. You need to become the authority for why you want to become the authority. What is the advice that you have, not what you think somebody else should be giving or what you think your clients want to hear because they're going to an existing authority that you want to copy. Don't try and be someone else. Be yourself. Give the advice that you've got to give from your own perspective and your own experience. Because if you try to emulate someone else and give it from their perspective, you're going to fall foul on it because it's not yours. It's not your advice. It's not your stories. It's not your experience. Always put yourself within it, because at the end of the day, it's your business, it's your industry. You should know what works and what doesn't, and what you should be advising your clients to do, and do it from your own perspective. Put your own heart in it, your own soul in it, your own experience in it for it to work.
I sense that answer lines up with different channels based around your personality and your authority, but I'm not certain. I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I'd rather hear it from you. What are some low-hanging fruit or underutilized channels that you see that still work for position yourself as an authority?
I think YouTube is absolutely massive. YouTube is massive because Google obviously owns YouTube, as I'm sure everybody knows. If they don't, this is startling news to you. Google owns YouTube. They bought it back in 2006, I think it was. So it's almost 20 years now they've owned that thing. And if people are searching for questions, advice within your industry that you are the expert on, Google will almost always throw in video content for them to find. And if you are not creating video content, answering your clients' questions, answering your customers' queries, then you are missing a massive trick. Now, we talked earlier very briefly about things that change and are constantly evolving. AI is a huge thing right now. And I've seen examples of, back when I started in Google, if you Googled something, you might get 10 organic listings on the front page. There are some search queries now where you're lucky if you get one, because it's pay-per-click, it's maps, it's Google AI overview. So it will give you the answers to try and keep you on Google. So you're losing a lot of potential rankings for your website by AI and other things coming up on Google that you don't get anymore. But the one thing Google isn't creating with AI is video. And in fact, Google recently demonetized AI video because it doesn't want AI video to appear on YouTube. It wants proper video with real human beings making connections. So when Google produces its AI overview, one of the things it will do is it will throw in a video in there where relevant, if it's got something that will suit, and that can be your video. So I would say YouTube is the absolute biggest tool that people should be using right now. If you are not creating video and putting it on YouTube, start doing it now. Answer your clients' questions, your customers' queries with video and put it on YouTube. Doesn't have to be highly professional. Doesn't have to be done with a $6,000 camera. You can do it with your phone. You can do it with your Sony camera, whatever it is that you use. Just do it and get it on there. If you then decide you want to increase the production values, get yourself a big light like I've got here, get yourself an SLR camera, then you can. But start doing it. Start with your phone. Get it on YouTube, because you will get more coverage, you will get more rankings, you will get more people looking at you, you'll get more followers, you'll get more leads, you'll get more sales, you'll get more money in your pocket. Then you can change and adapt and get more expensive with the equipment.
And to jump on the same advice, I would say for 99% of the time, your audio and your hook is going to matter more than your camera. So, just if you're using your cell phone, just get close enough that it can hear you and have a good hook. You don't need to spend more than $500 to get your hook right and have a camera or your cell phone that's close. So good advice. Darren, you've been on multiple stages. You've produced results for clients around the world, but I don't think most people know that you've suffered from scoliosis. And this surprised me, anxiety. How have those parts of your life shaped the way that you run your business and also the way you connect with people?
Start with the anxiety one first, because that's an easy one. I do not like to walk into a room full of people. I feel like I don't belong, like no one's going to want to talk to me. So the worst thing in the world to me is to go to a networking room where there's like 50, 60, 70 people in the room. I would hate that. So the way I've got around doing that is being the first person there. So I usually get to a networking meeting or any kind of event probably half an hour before it starts, sometimes an hour before it starts. And I try to be the first person there so that then other people are coming into the room that I'm already in. So they're walking into me. I've staked the place out. I've got a table or I've got a corner, and that's mine. I've got coffee. That's mine. They're coming into me. So I get over that problem straight away. So anyone that's got anxiety about walking into a room full of people, just be the first person there. Let them walk into you. And then they're coming in one at a time then. It's much easier to deal with. So that's my advice on the networking. In terms of the scoliosis, I did worry for a while when I was 14, 15, that I might not be able to walk normally again. I did worry about that because when it was discovered for the first time, I was walking with a bit of a bounce. I was moving up and down. I literally had my back cut right open and a titanium rod grafted to my spine, and I was encased in plaster, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to walk normally again. Even now, I'm not 100% sure I walk like a normal person. What is a normal person? I don't walk like everybody else. I still walk a little bit weird. And I've kind of just made conversation about it. I've made light about it. I've bonded with people over it that have had similar experiences. I was at an event on Friday, for example, and there was a lady there that works for a solicitor's firm, and she's got titanium bolts in her chest, across her rib cage. And it was so interesting speaking to someone that had something similar experience to me and being able to convey that I knew what she'd been through, and she's actually going to have them out in a while, which seems weird to me. I had mine put in 30 odd years ago now. I can't imagine having it out. I think it's fused to my spine anyway. But anything that happens to you like that, use it. Use it within stories. Use it within networking. Use it within it's in my LinkedIn profile. It's in my About Us on LinkedIn. It's on the website. Make it part of you, because it is part of what makes you you. Mm-hmm. So never shy away from something. Never hide it away. Mm-hmm. Just put it out there and use it, because it's not school anymore. You're not going to get picked on for doing it like you would have in school, like I did, which is why it was discovered in the first place. So it just makes you more interesting as a person and more relatable.
Darren, is there anywhere that you want to send listeners other than the TEDx talk that you think they might not know about you or what you do, or that might help them approaching it kind of in the BNI?
I think, yeah, the site, well, obviously we've got the Engaging Marketeer website, but everybody knows about that on here. I think the one that would be interesting would be my own personal site, which would be darrenjameson.com. I used to have darrenjameson.co.uk, but the .com was owned by an American real estate agent for many, many years, but he seems to have disappeared now, so I've got his domain name.
It's yours.
So darrenjameson.com.
What do you want us to check out when we go over there?
It's got stuff about the speaking that I've done. It's got stuff about the comedy that I've done, about the comic that I wrote, which, I'm glad you didn't mention, but I have now, so apologies for that. It's all the different things that I've accomplished and I aim to accomplish, and I keep it updated. So goals that I've got, things that I plan to do, like it's been one of my dreams to drive Route 66 across the United States. I will do that at some point. It nearly happened a couple of years ago, but then some sort of illness befell the world and everybody stopped moving everywhere, so it didn't happen. But that's the site, I think, to look at to see the speaking that I've done, the advice that I've got, the comedy that I've done. Everything is listed on there in one place.
Well, this was fire. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Bite-sized tips. Everyone knows you as the interviewer, but having you as the interviewee is often fun. I know that I enjoyed it. I told you off camera after my last interview, you're one of the best hosts to interview me in the last 2 years, and I do 2 to 3 interviews per week as a guest. So you are fantastic. And then, hey, everybody, if you like this, don't forget to subscribe, give him a 5-star review on whatever your listening app is. I'd also love to connect with you. My name is Peter Murphy Lewis. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Peter Murphy Lewis. Until next time, keep laughing, keep growing, and keep showing up for Darren. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you.